Welcome back to the Wandering Wind Church. Today we are reading out of the Life Recovery Devotional again. I want to remind you, first of all, that if you would like to support the channel, you can use the links down in the description to either donate to my Patreon or to my coffee page. Go and buy a book for yourself and help me through the Amazon Associates program, or even just supporting by sharing and subscribing to this channel. Today's reading is titled A Balanced Life, and our reading out of the Bible is Ecclesiastes 7:14 through 17. Step 1. We admitted that we were powerless over our dependencies and that our lives had become unmanageable. For those of us raised in chaotic situations, our response may be to try and maintain a control of something, anything. We may become rigid and controlling of our children, or insist on having control in our homes or work relationships. Perhaps we focus on our eating habits, or develop rituals for living that give us the feeling of being in control of our own lives. King Solomon tells us, enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. This is important. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. I have seen everything in this meaningless life, including the death of good young people and the long life of the wicked people. For there is a time and a way for everything, even when a person is in trouble. Indeed, how can people avoid what they don't know is going to happen? It's understandable that we would want to develop a security system to protect our lives in response to our past powerlessness and the pain it brought. Maintaining control can serve to make us feel safer in an uncertain world. However, it can also pose a trap for us if we must always have control in order to cope. We need to balance our understanding of life to realize that life is uncertain. We will not always be in situations where we have the power and control we need to make us feel safe. This balance can keep us on track, even when an unexpected loss of power occurs. If we must always be in control, we're out of control. Wow, this is powerful. This is powerful. If we must always be in control, we are out of control. How many times have we thought, oh, well, if I'm in control, it's all right? How many times have we thought, oh, well, if I can just control this one area of my life, everything else is all right? If I can just keep one thing in the way that it should be, then I'm good. But then we realize that later on, if that one little area gets even the slightest bit out of control, we fly off the handle. I remember being very, very, very upset when I had to go to rehab and everything was taken away from me. All control was taken away from me. I remember for a year and a half, I was angry at being stuck in rehab because since I was a minor, I was not there voluntarily, but rather sent there by the courts. And so I was actually told, you need to get through this program or else you're not able to come back out. And instead, you'll be going straight to the kid prison. I thought, wait, what? Why are you sending me to prison just for having issues? But, it was what it was, I was a very angry, very bitter, and very violent individual at the time. And honestly, I was still violent and angry when I got out until I finally found Jesus and said, you know what? I'm no longer going to be that way because I don't need to be controlling of every little thing. Because the one thing that really set off my anger for the longest time wasn't people's words or people's actions. It was my lack of control. And I didn't realize this until years after the fact, but that my lack of control was the main source of my anger, and that my lack of control could also be my greatest sense of joy. Now you're like, Gregory, what do you mean about being out of not being able to be in control, making you joyful? Well, you know what? When I realized who was in control, when I realized who truly was in control of it all. I realized, you know what? My God's got this better than I ever could. And so because of that, I can be joyful that he's going to handle it a whole lot better than I ever could. If I had control of my life, I'd still be 10 months ago Gregory, where I couldn't manage to do much more than maybe, I don't know, not drink for a 24-hour span of time, and then the next day make up for it with twice as much, because I thought, well, I went okay for 24 hours. I deserve it. It's like, no, I didn't deserve that. I didn't deserve anything other than possibly getting a kick up the butt and going to rehab again, because frankly, that probably, beside this program, that probably would have been the only thing to keep me sober for more than a day. But it probably wouldn't have helped longer than that, because as soon as I got out of the rehab, I probably would have went back. But thanks to this program, I don't have to go there anymore. Because of this program, I don't have to do that anymore. I can be free from myself, free from my addiction. And so, because I'm not in control, because I don't have to rely on my own control, saying, no, I don't need to do it today. I don't need to do it today. I don't need to do it today. Okay, I'll do it today. Because that was the way it was, I would say for a while, I'm okay. I would be okay for a while, and then eventually I would be like, I can't do it anymore. But when I don't have control of whether or not I do it or don't do it, and instead I let God control it, then God's perfect plan can be made manifest in my life, and I don't have to worry about the problems, because God's taking care of the problems. And so that is why I love my Jesus. And I love who he's allowed me to be. Because he has allowed me to be so much more than just a drunk, an addict, and an abuser of things that weren't meant to be abused by us, but are. So I thank God every day for that. I thank God every day for the continued recovery that he shows. Thank you, Jesus, for your continued grace and love and mercy in my life. Remember, we do not recover by leaps and bounds, but rather by steps, inches, and moments, because we are not meant to power through like it's a test at the end of school year where we can just fudge it up and still manage to get a passing grade. No, we must perfect each step in order to be able to move on. Yes, sometimes we will manage to get the steps out of order, because when presented with an opportunity to make amends, it doesn't matter if you're on step 1 or step 10, you still need to make amends when God says do it. So, but at the same time, there are steps in order for a reason. So thank you so much for watching, listening, sharing, subscribing, and joining me on this journey of recovery as I see where God's taking me, as you see where God's taking you, and as we share this experience and our experience together. So that way we can both be encouraged, we both can grow, and we both can be strengthened by each other's prayer. Please pray for me as I pray for you in your recovery, that we may both reach the end goal. God bless you, and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you again soon, God willing. Have a wonderfully blessed day.